Hey everybody, I'm going to take a moment to talk about diction and tone. These words are going to show up in lessons for the entire year, so it would be a good idea to take notes. Remember, we talked about how you need a spiral for this class. You should have a spiral in which you take notes specifically for this class and not use that spiral for other classes. So diction is simply the author's choice of words. Why does an author choose particular words when they could have chosen other words? There's usually a reason for that. When analyzing diction, consider the audience and purpose of the speech and why the author chooses certain words over other words. Always use an adjective when you describe an author's diction. This is a list of words that you might use to describe the diction of a poem or a short story or an essay or a speech. I want you to look through these words for a moment and think about which words you would use to describe the diction in my name. So when we're describing diction, we need to consider several things. One thing we need to do is consider the complexity. Are the words that are being used monosyllabic, meaning they have only one syllable words mostly, or polysyllabic, multiple syllables in a word? Consider the formality. Are they speaking in slang? And we would call that colloquial. Are they informal, which might be conversational, or formal, which is literary? They could also be speaking in an old-fashioned way. Look at the preciseness. Are they speaking in generalities or being very specific? And whether or not they're speaking mostly with words that have exact meaning, we would call that denotative. Or are they using words that suggest a different meaning or give you a different feeling? We call that connotative. For example, here are three words that all have a very similar definition: smell, odor, stench. Think about the meaning of these words. And when you look at the meaning of the words, you're thinking about the dictionary definition of the words. But if you think about the feelings that they give you, we're thinking about the connotations of the words. Smell, it's just a common word. Odor, it doesn't give me a positive or a negative feeling. But the word stench definitely gives me a negative feeling. Here are three more words. We've got dress, frock, gown. Think to yourself, which word is more like the dictionary definition of the word and which word has a different feeling altogether, whether it's positive or negative? Words can also be concrete or abstract. Concrete words are specific words. Usually we're speaking about nouns when we're talking about concrete and abstract words. For example, concrete words would be things that you can smell, touch, taste, feel, hear. And abstract words would be more conceptual. They'd be ideas. Here are two words to consider. A flag is something you can wave or you can touch. And patriotism is a concept. It's more of a feeling that's inside your mind. You can see somebody smile. You could see their happiness, but happiness is more of a concept. It's not something you can grab. You can't grab happiness, roll it up into a ball and throw it. You can't grab or touch patriotism, but you can grab a flag. You can touch a smile. So these are your concrete words, and the words on the right are your abstract words. And finally, think about the way the words sound, especially considering how poetic it might be. Words can be euphonious, that means they have a pleasant sound, or they can be cacophonous, that means they have a harsh sound. Usually words that have L's and M's in them are considered euphonious. Look at the words languid, murmur. Cacophonous words often have harder sounds like C's and K's and T's and D's, raucous, croak. So when we look at the words, we want to think about the way they sound. Are they pleasant sounding or are they harsh sounding? In music, you might think about whether or not they sound staccato. Tone is the author or speaker's attitude towards a subject. So after you've looked at the diction, Then you can start reflecting on the tone. The tone is specifically what does the speaker feel about the particular subject that they're talking about or they're addressing. So when you think back to your story that you just read, how does the author feel about her name? And what evidence could you provide to support your ideas?